I've already talked about this in other videos in which I reviewed the latest chapters of One Piece. However, chapter 1000 has inspired me to dedicate a whole video to this theory. The theory is really more about the development of Luffy's abilities, but calling it names like Dragon Form, Monkey King Luffy, or Lion Man is just the icing on the cake. I have actual reasons that stem from details in and out of the manga that could lead me to believe Luffy's new form could have those names. Okay, let's start with talking about a distinct dragon technique that makes me think that Luffy could develop Gear 4th Dragon Man. I'll be focusing on the ability known as Flame Clouds. Kaido, and Momonosuke to an extent, can seemingly fly due to using flame clouds to levitate. Is it possible that Luffy can learn how to use flame clouds as well? First, let's consider what the power source could be for flame clouds. It's quite simple. It would be Haki. Actually, it isn't that simple. However, I've made a detailed video essay explaining how it is that Haki could manifest fire. Let's just say this. Haki is a spiritual power. You know what else is a spiritual power? Big Mom's soul fruit. She can literally fly on fire and a cloud. Again, I've made a detailed video series that shows how Big Mom's power correlates to Haki. The point I want to take away in this video is that if Big Mom's spiritual powers can accomplish a feat similar to flame clouds, then it opens up the possibility for Haki to do something similar. Now let's look at Luffy. Does he have the ability to manifest flames? Check. Does he have the ability to generate clouds? Check. Okay, so let's go over flames first. Luffy has an attack known as Red Hawk. I've shown in another video why Red Hawk is likely to be Fire Haki, fire being the third form of armament Haki. If you're new to the channel and this doesn't make a lot of sense, I would suggest you either check out the video in the description called Understanding Haki Part 2, or just wait till I give a better explanation later in this video. For the sake of time and pacing, I will move on. Just bear with me because all you need to know for now is simply the fact that Luffy can generate fire, regardless if it's because Haki or not. Okay, so that covers flames. Now the way clouds fit into the equation is Luffy's gears. Haki is translated as Supreme Chi, and Chi translates to English as breath. All of his gears have involved breathing one way or another, so perhaps there's a possible connection between Haki and gears. But honestly, that is besides the point. What I'm truly interested in is the steam you can see coming off of gear 2nd and 4th. That is the cloud that Luffy needs to combine with fire to create flame clouds. Just look at Gear 4's design. It's as if Oda has been foreshadowing this the whole time. You can see flame patterns from arm and Haki as well as a sash made out of clouds around him. In fact, look at Kaido's dragon form. He's also seen wearing a fire sash around him. Is it possible this is how his dragon form levitates? Now I'm sure you might be wondering how it is Luffy, aka a human, could learn the technique of a dragon. Well, it's not impossible because the precedent has been set. Koala is a human, yet knows how to use Fishman karate. Also, Kaido can use his flame clouds even when in his base form. Obviously, it is because of his devil fruit powers. But my point is that the dragon anatomy isn't required to use flame clouds. Even a humanoid being can use flame clouds. I'm excited to go over the possibility of what a Gear 4th Dragon Man could accomplish. But before that, let's go over why that even symbolically it would make sense for Luffy to develop a dragon form. First off, Luffy's use of flames in any capacity is always going to be linked to his brothers. We've already seen this with Red Hawk and Red Rock, as it is clearly an homage to Fire Fist Ace. With that being said, does Luffy really need a whole new form to pay tribute? Not necessarily, and it's not even proving my point since Ace's powers aren't linked to dragons. However, I didn't say brother, I said brothers. Let's not forget about Luffy's other brother, who happens to not only use fire, but dragon techniques as well. Natsu Dragonil. Sabo just might end up sharing a very similar fighting style as Luffy, which would further strengthen their connection to one another. Talk about double dragon. Imagine a Gear 4th Dragon Man and Ryu Soken being used side by side. And this becomes less of a coincidence when you consider they have the same father. For Sabo, I'm referring to his adoptive father, but let's not forget that Monkey D. Dragon is also Luffy's father. It would be so ironic if Luffy were to develop his own dragon fighting technique without ever actually learning it from the one person it would make the most sense for him to inherit it from. Also, celestial dragons are the antithesis of what Luffy stands for. They seem to have quite the fascination with dragons. It would be poetic justice for a dragon to defeat them. In fact, that is what I believe the irony of Monkey D. Dragon being the most wanted man is. Could the whole monkey family have the ability to use flame clouds? As silly as that seems, this actually leads me to the second name that Luffy's new form could be, Gear 4th Monkey Man. The way flame clouds play a role in this is the fact that the ability to fly in clouds is also something the Monkey King can do as well. All the more reason for Luffy to use it given how much Oda admires Goku from Dragon Ball. Luffy's name is Monkey D. Luffy after all. Would it really be all that surprising for him to have a monkey form? Then there's a possibility of him having Lion Man. I'm aware of the popular theory that Luffy named his gear after the animals he fought during the time skip. That makes some sense, but I'm not completely sold, because none of the gears are actually named after the animals he fought. I'm surprised how many people give this theory credit, when you could just look at the names of his gears and see that it's a moot point. However, he does have specific techniques that you could argue are inspired by the animals he fought, such as Gear 3rd Elephant Man or King Kong Gun. Heck, even Snake Man and Culverine could be inspired by the Boa sisters. In 2 videos, I talked about how Culverine is like Life Return, a Rokushiki technique used by Kumadori and the Boa sisters. Also, Kumadori may show up in Wano and is possibly part of the Kurozumi Clan. Okay, self-promotion aside, my point is that while I do think it is true that Luffy develops technique based off past battles, it is not the cornerstone of why I believe Luffy's new form could be Lion Man. Could the lion on Ruskaina possibly have something to do with it? Maybe, but my main reasoning has to do with my chakra theory. Here's a quick summary of that theory. Haki originates from Chi. Chi is a source energy in constant vibration. The frequencies of vibrations can vary. The vibrations at which the energy vibrates will cause Chi, aka Haki, to take different forms. These forms are known as Armament, Observation, and Conqueror's Haki, and even those 3 different types of Haki have different levels to them. Armament Haki has 3 levels, while both Observation and Conquerors have 2 each. This makes for a total of 7 frequencies that Haki vibrates at. The 7 forms of Haki can be correlated to the 7 chakras. Each chakra has an element. And the 3rd chakra, which also happens to be the 3rd form of armament, has the element of fire. With all that out of the way, allow me to explain through another video of mine why it is that it would make sense for Luffy to have fire-based form be named Lion Man. If you're a fan of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, you know of the power known as Hamon. The frequency the protagonist used the most is the yellow sun. It looks like a golden fire, which is like the solar plexus, which is associated with the color yellow, and it is fire. Speaking of yellow fire, let's look at another anime, Dragon Ball. What does a Super Saiyan look like? Well, it's golden yellow fire-like aura. Even more apparent, Naruto. In his most powerful form, he looks like he's covered in yellow fire. Remember Hold'em? He's not really all that significant or strong. How is it that someone like him could be capable of 3rd level of Armament Haki? Well, let me give him a little bit more credit. I mean, he's still a high-ranking member in a Yonko crew. Also, he's probably been living in Wano for a long time, and that would certainly be the best environment to learn that technique. However, what if he didn't even consciously learn it, but rather was the byproduct of his smile fruit? Thematically, it makes sense. First of all, recall when I said Naruto resembles the yellow fire of the sun. Well, when he initially would activate the form, he would touch his navel area, similar to where Hold'em's lion is. Solar plexus chakra is also known as navel chakra. Not only the location, but the animal is relevant too. A lion can be associated with the solar plexus for 2 reasons. First of all, the king of the jungle represents pride, the same as solar plexus. And lions are linked to fire. This is because a lion's mane resembles a sun. See how it all went full circle? Now this brings me to what Luffy's gonna be like in the future if he learns to master this fire, the 3rd level of Armament Haki. So you know how Luffy enters Gear 4th and there's a stream of smoke or mist around him, and it looks like a scarf. Now imagine that stream of mist, but it's on fire. Wouldn't that be cool? Basically being a fire aura around him. So yeah, possible foreshadow? If it ends up happening, you come back to me, telling me I called it. I love that stuff. I actually killed 2 birds with that one clip, because not only did that explain the relevance of lion to fire, but it also showed once again how Goku and even Super Saiyan could be an inspiration for Luffy's new form. Before I get carried away, let's talk about the symbolic significance of Luffy being a lion man. Well, he is Straw Hat Luffy, and if you look at him wearing the straw hat from the right angle, it resembles a lion's mane. Okay, that might be a stretch, but let's not forget the Straw Hat's ship, the Thousand Sunny. It's literally a lion and sun themed. Even Luffy's laugh is shi shi shi, and it's common to find a relationship between a character and their laughter style. For example, when Whitebeard laughs, he says Gurara, and he just so happens to have the Gura Gura no Mi. Shishi in Dragon can be translated as lion. With all that said, I believe I presented why it is that Luffy could develop a form based around fire and flame clouds, as well as the possible names for it. Now the question is where, when, and how could Luffy learn this new form? First thing I want to say is that it doesn't necessarily have to be one or the other when it comes to dragon, monkey, or lion man. Who knows, maybe all three forms could be used, and they do different things. What matters most is where Luffy has learned to master the third form of armament. I said earlier he has the ingredients, however I doubt it's as easy as just setting the steam around him on fire. First, I have to address that while I believe Luffy has been using the second and third form of armament haki when using Red Hawk, I do not believe that he had mastered advanced armament haki before Wano. In fact, I don't even believe he was consciously aware of the fact that Red Hawk's flames came from haki. He most likely thought it just worked the same way Diable Jamba worked during the Impel Down arc, assuming it was just friction. However, I debunked the friction argument in Understanding Haki Part 2. The TLDR version is that it can't be friction because he used it underwater. Now that Luffy is in Wano, he seems to be in the perfect place to master the advanced form of armament. I'm going to go over this in Understanding Haki Part 4, about how the environment can also affect the development of haki. Have you ever noticed that in Wano, a lot of the animals around have flame patterns? I'll just leave it at that for now, but please stay tuned and check out Understanding Haki Part 4. I speculate that Kinemon has mastered the third form of armament, hence why he can use fire abilities. Also, Hyogoro has flame patterns in his design. I'm not sure if he can currently use the third form of armament haki, given how much his will was broken in Udon. However, despite the possible lack in his willpower, he may still have experience of his own to share with Luffy. Or maybe Luffy just learned it on his own. Luffy has developed most of his techniques by himself. He's great at learning things solo. Flame clouds are something Luffy would at least need to witness in order to learn from it. And that's no problem, considering he witnessed Momonosuke use it all the way back in Punk Hazard. Not only that, he fought Kaido. Luffy has learned from his foes before. When Luffy developed Gear 2nd, he learned how to use Soru not long after his fight with CP9. The precedent is set, so it is unlikely that he could learn the secret of Kaido's flying ability and try to emulate them. This is even less far-fetched when you factor in the fact that Kaido's dragon form, and most likely hybrid form, is actually similar to Gear 4. His dragon form wears flames around him similar to the way Gear 4 has steam around him. Keep in mind that the time frame I'm working with right now is assuming that he learned this prior to his current fight with Kaido. He may learn this hypothetical form after this fight. In fact, he may learn how to use this form because of this fight. Also, Yamato knows how flame clouds work, so perhaps she could give Luffy some clues on how he could use it for himself. Now that we have gone over the what, when, where, and why, let's cover how this form could be used. Well, I think the obvious feature is flame-based attacks. Basically a whole bunch of attacks like Red Hawk. Next, he could have flame clouds, which would give him the ability to fly. Now you might be saying to yourself, can't Gear 4 already fly? And yes, while that may be true, it is a very limited version of flight. It specializes in going fast and linear. It isn't so useful for stationary flight, or if Luffy needs a lot of maneuverability. Flame clouds may actually be lacking in linear speed, but great in other areas. Meaning the two types of flight can be used together for the most effectiveness. Also, Sanji can fly using Skywalk, yet he still makes use of his raid suit's jet boots, because the more the merrier. Not only that, but Luffy could learn to lift things other than his own body, similar to what Kaido can do. Another ability I can see attributed to this form, a roar that is empowered by Conqueror's Haki. This works well with the theme of Dragon, Monkey, and Lion Man. Lions and dragons are the most commonly associated with powerful roars, and even Monkey Man works if it's based off the Monkey King, as Conqueror's Haki is often linked to kings. Also, some beating on the chest could be done to make it more monkey-like. If it is called Dragon Man, I can imagine more lightning-themed attacks like Thor Elephant Gun being used. Also, a fire-breathing technique is possible. Obviously, that would go well with Dragon Man, and according to Hold'em's Lion, it would make sense for Lion Man as well. Also, him being a rubber man means he can take really deep breaths. He might even make a pun out of it and call his fire-breathing attack Gum Gum Hot Air Balloon. Lion Man may even get not just flames around him, but even fire hair, like Big Mom does. I say this for two reasons. One, it would make him look more like he has a lion's mane. Also, do you remember Kumadori? He is often referred to himself as a lion, specifically because of what he could do with his hair. Luffy may have short hair, but he is also a rubber man, so it would make sense for him to grow a luscious mane. Speaking of stretching powers, the Monkey King has a staff that has the power to grow, so perhaps Luffy embodies that pole. Imagine him using his extended attacks in a new way. If you attack someone with a staff and they dodge to the side, the staff can then be swung in the direction that the target dodged in. An attack from striking somebody with your forearm would be weaker than a fist. However, combining the powers of armament hardening and armament fire, even an attack from the forearm could still be very deadly. Before I give you my conclusion, I want to shout out a comment I got from my Chapter 1000 review. Luffy could also have a bird-based form called Missile Man, since it emits fire, and I could see Luffy naming it like that. Thank you for commenting this. I think it's genius for many reasons. First of all, both Red Hawk and Red Rock are named after birds. Also, many of Luffy's attacks are named after weapons like guns, artillery, and even pyrotechnic. Imagine how crazy Gum Gum fireworks would look with actual fire. It even checks out the box of being symbolic, because birds are the most symbolic animals when it comes to freedom, and Luffy wants to be the freest of all. The thing I admire most about this is the idea of calling it Missile Man rather than Bird Man or Phoenix Man or something like that. Many of us have been stuck on Gear 4th being animal related, but really, only one out of the 3 current forms is named after an animal. In fact, there's no recurring theme among them, so you can't necessarily be able to predict the theme of the new forms based off the 3 we already know of. With that in mind, my conclusion is that between Dragon, Lion, and Monkey, I haven't settled on any of them as the name, and I could see one or even all of them being used. Dragon Man being the one I prefer the most. However, the name I came up with that has me the most sold is Sunman. Yep, Sunman. It's simple and sweet, as it should be. Earlier I said that there's no recurring theme between the present Gear 4th forms, but that isn't entirely true. Bound Man, Tank Man, and Snake Man, they are all 2 syllables long. At least in English they are. And even though the story is written in Japanese, the names are meant to be pronounced in English. So like, for example, instead of Heavy Man, it is Suneko Man. So if this 2-syllable rule is real, then Sun Man passes. I talked about the link between Luffy and the sun enough for you to have a good idea of why the name Sun Man fits. In fact, much of what I said about Dragon Man, Monkey Man, and Lion Man still applies, because Sun Man can still embody the details of all 3 of those animals. First of all, Bound Man has a bunch of animal themed attacks, so Sun Man, for example, could have attacks named after dragons or monkeys. It is obvious how Lion Man and Sun Man can be interchangeable. He can still have fire hair because it would not only make him look like he has a lion's mane, but make Luffy resemble the sun as well. My fiance mentioned to me that Shishi can refer to guardian lion statues. They are also referred to as Fu lions, so maybe Fu Man could work. Funny enough, this actually ties in dragons. Kaido's Fu Manchu mustache is integral to his design because it shows off his koi fish and dragon qualities. But anyways, back on topic. A dragon theme works for Sun Man because if the form lets Luffy use flame clouds, then that would mean Sun Man allows him to use a dragon's technique. The second reason requires thinking out of the box. In fact, it requires you to think outside of One Piece, because if Sun Man allowed Luffy to use flame clouds, perhaps he would ride the cloud similar to the way the main character of Dragon Ball does. Get it? Dragon Ball. Okay, that might be a stretch, but you know it wouldn't be? Sun Man working perfectly for the Monkey King theme. Many of you know Goku, or should I say Son Goku, but do you know of Sun Wukong? That is the original name of the famous Monkey King that inspired the character of Goku. It can be a double entendre. Not only would the sun in Sun Man refer to the star in the middle of the solar system, but Wukong as well. Also, the name works best for my chakra theory. Solar plexus chakra would be the reason for Luffy developing Sun Man. And recall when I used Big Mom's soul powers in correlation with Haki? Well, when that power is used to attach a soul to a flame, it will then produce a sun. It's crazy how well this theory works with my prior videos despite me only recently coming up with this concept. Here's a potential ultimate attack that would combine all three of the themes under Sun Man. In order to figure out what this attack could be, let's think about why Luffy would need something like this in the first place. Kaido has an attack called Boro Breath. It's extremely powerful. I mean, it could destroy the top off of mountains. Now, how would Luffy deal with its attack? One way is that he could dodge it. But what if Luffy was ever put in a situation where he just could not dodge it? I did speculate earlier that maybe Luffy developed his own fire breathing technique. But how I envision hot air balloon being used is more like a flamethrower. However, Kaido's Boro Breath is more like a beam attack from Dragon Ball. So here's my idea of what Luffy could develop to counter that, possibly even clash with it. I actually blow my own mind sometimes, because this hypothetical attack is something I speculated a long time ago in a video called Rokushiki is Haki. Lastly, we'd have Rokugan, Ultimate Cannon of Energy. It would probably be the strongest attack of One Piece if used by an absolute master. I have a theory that fire plays a role in Armament Haki, so perhaps a fire energy beam could be used, truly turning a Rokushiki master into a Dragon Ball Z-like character. If this were to be used by Luffy, perhaps he would use it in a fashion similar to Gum Gum Leo Bazooka. Should he do that, it would look super similar to an iconic attack used by another monkey. And with that, covers the secret endings extra topic. How cool would it be to see a beam struggle in One Piece? And as I said earlier, all three themes I mentioned, Lion Man, Monkey Man, and Dragon Man, can be associated to this attack. Dragon Man because, well, it's like an attack from Dragon Ball. Also, it's an attack used like the dragon Kaido. Sun Man is pretty obvious. It's an attack used by the most iconic interpretation of the Monkey King, Goku. And surprisingly, even Lion Man fits, because the attack Luffy already used that looks like a Kamehameha is called Leo Bazooka. Leo being associated with lions. The last thing I want to say is, the sun is super symbolic when it comes to the story of One Piece. The very first chapter is called Romance Dawn. There are a whole bunch of theories you can find about how the Will of D is related to dawn. I won't go into that. For the sake of this theory, let's just focus on the word dawn. The dawn of the day is in reference to the first moment the sun emerges over the horizon. Everyone knows that Wano Kuni is the One Piece equivalent to Japan. Japan is also known as the land of the rising sun. This is because in Japan they actually refer to their country in their native language as Nippon. Nippon can be translated as origin of the sun. So, with all that being said, if there was any place Luffy would use Sunman for the first time, it would be here in Wano Kuni. The two fire attacks Luffy have make use of the word red, and the Japanese flag actually has a red sun on it. So he could even call this new form Red Man, and it still could be relevant to the sun theme. I think the name Sunman works and sounds better, but who knows, maybe Oda is a big fan of the Wu-Tang Clan. I could see some special things in regards to the Haki patterns on his body. First off, Sunman would have flame patterns, but that's a given considering that all of the Gear 4 forms have flame patterns. However, we would see them in new places. Sawyer 7 Mage pointed out that the Habu port symbol looks like the eyes of Gear 4, and this is the perfect form for him to introduce that concept. Also, I can imagine Sunman having the same sun symbol as the Sun Pirates logo. I could see it being located on Luffy's navel. However, Luffy's mark would be a Haki pattern. And you know what's funny? That brand on them started out as a dragon's foot, which is very poetic, to me at least. Because this theory originally started with me referring to Luffy's form as Dragon Man. Maybe there's more to that, but that's enough speculation for now. I really hope you enjoyed this theory of mine. Please tell me in the comment section what you think the name of the next form will be. That's it for Food for Thought. I made it short and sweet, but if you'd like to hear me elaborate more, then stick around for the secret ending. Would like Food for Thought? Then check out the rest of my channel. Thank you to anyone and everyone that has watched this video, and a very special thank you to my fiance, Taylor. She helped me so much with this video, and it wouldn't have came out nowhere near as fast. And if you notice, I've had some custom images up on the screen, and this was actually my fiance, Taylor. Definitely not me, I'm not that talented, but she can just produce so much so fast, and she's actually an artist. So if you have the time, please go check out her Tumblr or Instagram and see what she has to offer. And if you're a fan of Kingdom Hearts, also go on Tumblr to see her posts and theories and all of that. Earlier, you heard me refer to my other video known as Rokushiki is Haki. That's a favorite of mine. In that, I also talk about how basically the way Rokushiki and Haki users work, it's almost like Oda is trying to make his own version of Dragon Ball Z fighters, which is very relevant to this video given how much I compared Luffy to Goku. So please give that a chance. It's such a well detailed and researched video, like way more than this video. When you go see that one, you'll see what I'm really capable of. I call myself Dr. Vegapunk. You know, I get a real big head in that because I really did a whole lot of research, like a crazy amount of research, probably more than it's worth, but I just love making these type of videos. It's my passion. So please, if you have the time, go check it out, and I'm gonna play a little clip. What you're about to watch is a highly detailed theory with so much research dedicated to it, you might as well start calling me Dr. Vegapunk. In fact, I dare say that this isn't just a theory, but is actually confirmed. Nowhere in the manga is it stated that Haki and Rokushiki are actually the same as of yet. However, there is a 6th One Piece data book. It is known as the Vivier Card One Piece Visual Dictionary, and it's less like a data book and more like a database. It gets regularly updated, and I'm not just saying this as a fun fact. The revision of the information is actually what makes it seem as if this theory is actually fact. Rob Lucci's Vivier Card once stated that after the time skip he learned Haki. That would seem to be contradictory info to what I'm proposing. However, they went and revised it to say that his Haki got stronger. This implies he already was using Haki pre-time skip. The fact that they went out of their way to clarify this leads me to believe that it will be relevant in the future. I'll talk more about the Vivier Card later, but I just wanted to inform anyone that doubts this theory that there is official information that practically confirms this. The thing about Haki is that although there are physical applications primarily through armament, one can't simply train their body to increase their Haki. The source of Haki is the spiritual side of a person. One of the best ways to empower Haki is to fight in life-threatening battles that put one's spirit to the test. However, Rokushiki is finite and structured. The more you train the body, the more powerful the person will become. It's quite simple. Their capabilities can even be quantified with Doriki, aka power level. This should all sound so familiar for those that know Dragon Ball. In fact, when you really look at Rokushiki, it's almost like a way to build a Dragon Ball Z fighter. CP9 members can move faster than the eye can see, fly, are super strong and durable, and have the ability to send out projectile attacks. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that we can use DBZ as a reference to understand Rokushiki. It's not too complicated. The stronger the person's body is, the more powerful their ki, or power level. Where it gets more complicated is when you realize it's more like the other way around, where it's actually the stronger the person's ki really means the stronger the person's body. First thing to understand is that just because a person has higher power level, it doesn't mean they are outright physically superior to another. Someone like Birder may have a lower power level than Ginyu, yet he is faster than his captain. That same line of logic applies to Rokushiki as well. There are two pieces of evidence to show this. First, when Fukuruku determined their power level, he did so after receiving a single hit. That is certainly not enough to gauge the limits of someone's full potential. Even more obvious is that Lucci's power level was determined despite him being in his base form. Jabra even confirms that despite his level being lower than Kaku's, his devil fruit would still make him more powerful. This means that despite Rokushiki being described as a physical ability, and the apex of what a human is physically capable of doing, Rokushiki actually comes from a source of power that is independent of the physical host of the person that utilizes the martial art. So in the end, Rokushiki is actually spiritual. Yes, I know. Rokushiki is considered a physical ability, and it is. However, everything, even things that are physical, are spiritual. Although energy may appear to take on many different forms, all things in nature, and in fact all things in the universe, are intrinsically woven together, so that we are, quite literally, all symbiotically one with the universe through the system of Chi. You might be wondering how you can differentiate spiritual from physical if everything is spiritual. Or if Rokushiki is spiritual, how come attacks like Finger Pistol or Iron Body don't bypass Devil Fruit power like normal armament Haki? They are both spiritual attacks according to this theory, so why the inconsistency? Well, if you watched Understanding Haki Part 2, you'd see an answer that's pretty easy to understand, in my opinion. In that video, I used Prana and Chakra, but this time I'll stick to using Chi. Hey, did you like that clip? Then go check out the entire video on YouTube. There's a lot of detail and hard work that went into this. I promise you, it's well worth it.